Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got some disassembly and maintenance for you to do on these two guys. These are two different models of the Kansept Knives HellX, or something like that. Spelled like so. And we're going to go on ahead, we're going to do two disassembly and maintenances here because these are two models. This is the budget version with some G10 on the outside, as well as a, I believe to be D2 steel blade. Yep, D2. And then this is the higher end version. This is a full titanium frame lock with an S35VN blade. I'm just curious whether there are differences between the two of them. We'll start off on the budget end. And I sort of suspect these are going to be big but easy, which is not a bad thing. And we'll be able to take these guys apart. Let me try and come at it from the show side. Free spinning pivot. Come on, people. This is a T10 screw. And if you're curious, by the way, about this or any of the other tools I'm using for my disassemblies, go ahead and check out nickshabazz.com/tools for more details. There we go. Okay, good. A little bit of thread lock on there. Not too bad. Actually, a fair amount of thread lock on there. But it came loose, so that's something at least. Then moving to T8 from the back screws here. Again, some thread locker. All right. These are big boys. Right? These are big old knives. Thing is, though, I try very hard. I got my bias, right? I then don't prefer, so, ooh, that skeletonization right there. That's nice. Okay. These liners do appear to be steel. The reason I know that is that I have a set of magnets up on my lights that I just was trying to pull off that I'm using lately to check steel versus titanosity, if you will. So, yeah, steel liner. No argument there. I mean, given that it's a more budget-friendly version, that would make sense. Clean this off. Big old bearings, big old blade. But anyways, I try my very best as I'm doing these, as I'm doing my reviews, to make sure that I'm looking at a variety of perspectives, right? That I'm looking at a variety of items. Because if I were to just review, 3-inch kind of things, sure, they might be more practical for my daily life, because that's sort of the size that makes most sense for me. But at the same time, it's leaving a lot of people on the table, and I can certainly acknowledge good design, even if it's at a size that's a little bigger than I want to carry it generally, right? So, these are definitely interesting pieces. Go ahead and clean these guys off here. A lot of oil on this. Like, have I been in here? I mean, seriously, look at the oil pooling. Okay, let's go ahead and again, free spinning pivot, stop. Have we not had this discussion? Okay, so that's now cleaned off. Okay, next step, I'm going to use this Q-tip here, and I'm just going to get in there and try and clear out a little bit of this thread locker from the top. Actually going to use a bit of canned air here. Yeah, sorry about that sound. But that helped blow out some of the thread lock and dust in there. And let's go ahead and clean out these bearing races here. Construction here is fine. Lots of skeletonization. This is pretty straightforward, honestly. Let me grab another cleaning cloth. This time I'm going to do the bearings. Just clean these guys off. But yeah, it's important to me that I continue to look at, a pretty decent variety of gear, even outside my conventional range of size and such, because, yeah, it makes the channel more relevant to other people, and sometimes people want a big bad knife, right? But anyways, let's go ahead and put this. This is a knife. Yeah. Go ahead and put a little bit of thread locker. Guys, this is lubrication. I've been doing too many disassemblies today. This is some nano oil 10 weight here. A little bit on the detent ball as well. And I'll put a little onto the detent ball path. There we go. And we can drop the blade into position. There's a tiny little stop pin for a big old knife. Weird. It's like the internals are built like it's a tiny thing. I don't think it's a problem necessarily, but it is strange. Sorry about that. Hit the phone with my Batman mask. Which, again, is not a sentiment I thought I'd ever be having as an adult. But, you know, here we are. Okay, next up, I need to go ahead and just slip this scale on here. This is a Mikkel Williamson design. And I kind of like it. You know, not only is it like I said, this is not my statement about the knife generally, but the design on it is interesting. It's different, right? They've got something, it feels a little, yeah, unusual, right? And especially in a world, especially in a world where you've got the you know, more relatively sort of vanilla line of locks than ever out there in the world, this feels a little bit different, right? I respect that. I appreciate that. There are points to be awarded for just being a little different. Sometimes it's good different. Sometimes it's bad different. Sometimes it's ugly different. Sometimes it's great different. But no, I mean, it's good to see that kind of thing. Okay, and I think we're actually done with this guy. Action is better. Oh, action is way better. And then let's just tune the pivot a little bit. Yeah, no play. Okay, that's nice. That's real nice. So 6 minutes in, we've done the D2 one, the budget version. Sorry, got an eyelash or something. Okay, anyways. Now let's jump into the higher end version, which also has a very, very different clip for what it's worth. This is another thing that Kansept has been sort of experimenting with lately, and I kind of like it. They've been doing a lot of pairings, like different, like the same knife but in 2 different ways. You know, big and small. They've been doing what appears to be sort of budgety and higher end, where the design is fundamentally the same, but the knives are end up being actually rather different. I'm going to need a little more torque on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my ratcheting set from Weehaw here, and I'm going to knock over my bottle of rubbing alcohol, and that's just great. That's T10, I think. Is this free spinning? It is free spinning. Oh, good. So I hold this here, and I take this, and I rotate, and I rotate, I rotate, gently, slowly, surely, we win the day. Okay, beautiful. Now at this point in time, I can move back to a regular driver, and pull it the rest of the way out. I don't even see that much thread locker. It looks like it was just really over-tightened or something like that. Okay, now we move back down to T8 here, I sort of imagine. Come on. Yeah, T8. We free spinning. We are. Good God, Kansept. Screws can be not free spinning. Do that. Please. Please. All right. Let's try and remove this screw here. I know that's not the one we were working with most recently, but it was the one that I grabbed, and then I guess this here. And then we do the other side here. Yeah, okay, beautiful. Problem solved. Now we should be ready to take this guy apart. Come on. Come apart. And just kind of working this back and forth, and we're up. Okay. In this case, now we have a lock bar insert, which is good for a titanium frame lock. We have substantial skeletization, which is nice. It's good to see. We have a different backspacer. We have a clip that is internally screwed and deep carry, by the way. It's one kind of neat thing here. And we are, as I knock over everything, I need to stop. This is administratively, I declare, my last disassembly for the afternoon. Go ahead and clean this out. you know, I have a full-time freaking job, right? In fact, I have a full-time job that could be two full-time jobs. It's a beefy one. In addition to having a YouTube channel, right? And so there's this trade-off in my life of, you know, I will go through a week, sometimes even a month. It feels like it's been a month. But anyways, where I am just sort of getting my assets handed to me at work, and people are, you know, just expecting a lot from me. I got a lot to do. And in those times, obviously the thing that's putting a roof over my head is the win, right? But as a result, there can be, you know, times where it's like I'm not really getting much done for the channel, and I always feel, you know, a little guilty about that, right? Because I know that it's an important thing for me to do, and I also know that there are people out there who are counting on. It's not like anyone's gonna die if I don't get a review out, but same time, you know, my Patreon patrons support me with a certain understanding. I'm like, you know, yeah, you're gonna post content. And I got a backlog, so it makes it pretty okay. People usually don't notice. But there are definitely times where it's like, you know, I'm not getting a damn thing done for the channel this week. And as a result, though, it definitely, there comes a point when things let off a little bit at work where it's like, okay, back at the review table. And I gotta, you know, kind of start, I've had a bunch of stuff come in, for instance, and I gotta start actually working through it, right? And so usually one of the very first steps there is just dropping in and doing a bunch of disassemblies, right? Because oftentimes when I'm in those states, I'll be carrying things, the state of like overworked at my real job, I'll be carrying things, you know, on a daily basis and whatnot and using them, but oftentimes I'll end up doing that before I actually get a chance to do the disassembly and such. So that way, you know, it puts things a little bit out of whack, but it's not necessarily ideal, but it's enough, right? And that gives me the ability to, once I'm able to sit back down and think about it, I have some experience and write the review maybe a little faster. But because I've already carried it, that is. But anyways, so I'm in that state right now where I'm sort of coming back to it. Saying, okay, well, back at the ranch, what am I doing here on the channel? And this is one of those that's been sitting on the table, waiting patiently for disassembly. Anyways, so knocking out a bunch of these here this afternoon. Whoa there, that was way too much. What else is new? Okay, given that I just put way too damn much lubrication on the detent ball, I'm not going to bother. Here it is. I'm going to say this needs a stop pin somewhere. And that's a pain. There we go. Grab this. Insertation there. Okay. Now we can put the bearing in here. Look, construction-wise, titanium one is actually shockingly different. These are two knives by design, but maybe not by internals, right? And maybe not shocking because they're made of different materials. But there's not like actually an inlay here from the looks of it. It just looks like one of them, there's been like some painting or something like that, or a coating blasted off. So they're very, very different knives internally. And that's going to make them function a little bit differently, too. Whether these are going to end up being one review or two, probably I'll just do one review and talk about some of the differences. But, you know, that's always a question, too. You get something like this. You know, is it worth discussing them in separate videos? But then people are just going to see, oh, it's the HellX, HellX, or whatever the heck it is. T8 driver, come here. I don't know. Tough decision to make. It's easier to watch YouTube videos. I definitely appreciate that sometimes. But, you know, it gives me a certain esprit de corps, if you will, when I talk to in some cases, but just watching, you know, other people, especially even in other places, in other spaces of reviewing, you know, like the computer hardware review, like Gamers Nexus, Linus Tech Tips, whatever, that whole world, given I'm nowhere near their level in terms of subscribers and such, but at the same time, I feel a lot of their problems. They talk about things, I'm like, yep. Okay, still too loose. Need to tighten the pivot up further. Little tiny bit of play in there still. Why is there a little tiny bit of play in there still? Well, it looks like I need to give it a little bit more cranking, and it looks like I need to do that with this T10 bit here. And no wonder it was over-torqued. That gave a little more. Okay, now we got no play. Centering is very slightly off. What I'm going to do to try and fix that is just loosen these screws real quick. And that made my centering maybe a little better. Now I retighten, and I retighten, and I deploy. No vertical play, no horizontal play. Centering very, very slightly off. I should have checked it beforehand. Either way, knife's running better. Oh, that's just my hand not being used to this. This is big. This is real big. Sort of low-key reminds me in size of like the Tashi Barucha CKF Muscle, which was a big-ass knife. Oh my God. But anyways, there we go. We've taken these guys apart. The construction on them is very different, obviously, but at the same time, they share a lot of commonalities in terms of approach, in terms of otherwise, and hope this was interesting to you, that you found the that you found these guys and the pair of reviews or disassemblies that is useful. And most of all, I hope that you stay happy and healthy and that you have yourself just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. I'm going to go do something that isn't filming a disassembly video for a little bit. Have a good one, everybody. Bye now.